So, have you been struggling to build anything from scratch, even after putting in hours and hours watching coding tutorials? Well, I'm here to tell you that the problem isn't you, it's the way you're learning. Let's dive into an approach that actually works, one that's based on the real-world experience of developers who've been exactly where you are right now.
Okay, picture this. You just spent the whole weekend on a tutorial. You were coding along, feeling super productive. But then, you open a totally blank file to start your own thing, and it's just crickets. The knowledge just seems to have evaporated, right? If that sounds familiar, well, you've just had your first taste of what developers call tutorial hell.
And this quote right here from a fellow developer just captures that sinking feeling perfectly. All that pride you had from finishing the course just vanishes, and it's replaced by this panic, staring at that blinking cursor on a blank screen. It's like your brain just hit eject on everything you thought you learned. Trust me, you are not alone in feeling this way.
So listen, here's the most crucial thing I want you to hear today. Stop blaming yourself. You're not smart enough to code. Not at all. You've just been following a learning method that is, frankly, fundamentally broken for most people. Let's break down exactly why.
So let's get right to the heart of it. Why does the one thing that feels like you're making progress, watching all those tutorials, actually end up holding you back? Well, welcome to the tutorial trap.
This slide really lays it all out, doesn't it? On one side, you have watching tutorials. It's totally passive. You're basically just following along, imitating what someone else is doing. But on the other side, you have building projects. That's active. It forces you to solve real problems and actually create something, which engages your brain in a completely different and much more powerful way. And this analogy just illustrates the entire problem perfectly. You can watch 1,000 videos on how to do the perfect squat, but until you actually get under that bar and lift the weight yourself, you are not building any muscle. Coding is the exact same thing. Tutorials are just the theory. Building is the workout that actually turns that theory into a real skill.
You know, here's a key reason why tutorials so often fail. They're basically built backwards. They teach you the how before you even understand the why. And that just leads to imitation, not real comprehension. You end up copying and pasting code that works, but you have no idea why it works, which leaves you totally stuck when you have to solve a new problem on your own.
This is such a critical mental shift you have to make. The goal is not to memorize every single piece of syntax. It's to learn how to find the answers you need. I promise you, professional developers are Googling stuff, debugging, and testing things out all day long. The real skill is in that problem-solving process.
And it all starts with this one simple but incredibly powerful change in how you talk to yourself. Just adding that little word yet, it transforms a dead end into just a temporary obstacle. It gives you permission to be a beginner and to actually embrace the process of figuring things out.
Okay, so how do we actually put this into practice? Well, it starts with adopting a completely new mindset, what I call the builder's mindset. This is your real path to skill. This right here, this is your new mantra. The goal is no longer to just finish another course. It's to finish a project. Any project. Every single time you start building something, you force your brain to connect the dots in a way a tutorial just never, ever can. You stop being a passive consumer of information and you become an active creator.
I know what you're thinking, but I'm not ready to build anything yet. And that's the whole point. You will never feel 100% ready. Confidence isn't something you need before you start. It's what you get as a result of starting. You just have to take that first messy step. And I promise, the confidence will follow.
Okay, so we've got the right mindset. That's huge. Now let's talk about the actual system and the tools you can use to make this whole process about 10 times more effective, especially in the world we live in today.
Let's just talk about the elephant in the room, AI. A lot of aspiring developers are really worried that it's going to make their skills obsolete. But the reality is, AI isn't going to replace developers. It's going to replace the developers who don't adapt. You have to think of it as a tool that can amplify you. It handles all the tedious stuff, like writing boilerplate code, so you can focus on the fun part, the creative problem solving. So how do you actually use AI as a learning tool? Well, next time you get stuck, don't just ask it for the solution. Ask it to explain why your code broke in the first place. Ask it for a simplified explanation of a really complex topic. You can even have it review your code and suggest improvements. This approach turns AI from a crutch into your own personal 24/7 coding tool. This all leads to a really simple but incredibly powerful system, the 3C rule. First, you clarify. You make sure you understand the why behind the concept. Second, you create. You immediately apply what you just learned by building something, anything. And third, you check. You review your work, maybe using AI or a mentor, to find ways to make it better. Clarify, create, check. It's a simple cycle of learning, doing, and then refining.
Now, having the right system is one thing, but making progress that actually sticks is another. And the key to long-term success isn't about intensity, it's about something way, way more powerful. You know, most people treat learning to code like a sprint. They'll binge a ton of tutorials for a week, get totally burned out, disappear for a month, and then they come back and restart the whole cycle feeling guilty. The much better path is the system, just consistent daily practice that leads to steady, compounding growth. And this is the absolute best way to think about it. Those small daily deposits of effort, they might not feel like much at first, but over time, they compound into these massive gains. It is so much more effective than these big, random bursts of work that are followed by long periods of doing nothing. And look, you don't need 10 hours a day for this. All you really need is just one focused hour repeated consistently, day after day. That's achievable, it's sustainable, and it is incredibly powerful over the long run.
So what does this actually look like in practice? Here is your weekly plan. It's super simple. Step 1, just pick one topic to focus on for the entire week. Step 2, every single day, dedicate one focused hour to applying that 3C rule. Clarify, create, and check. And step 3, the next week, you pick a new topic, and you just repeat. This simple system is how you build a sustainable habit of learning and create. And you know, if you follow this approach, if you actually focus on building, use the tools available to you like AI, and just stay consistent, something really fundamental is going to start to shift in how you see yourself. You'll stop thinking of yourself as someone who is just learning to code, and you'll start seeing yourself as what you are, a developer, a person who builds things, who solves problems, and who is always learning. This is the identity that you earn through consistent, creative effort. So I'm going to leave you with this one question. Forget about the next tutorial you are planning to watch. Instead, I want you to think about this. What is the first tiny, messy, maybe even imperfect project that you are going to build this week?